When I was scrolling through the NEET subreddit, the Not in Employment Education or Training subreddit, I was really wondering what kind of parents must they have? It's probably parents like this couple where the mom is coddling the son, and well, we'll see what this dad says. He says, I regret my adult son. He says, I wanted to be a dad. I really did. And when my kids were young, we had ups and downs, but I felt like my wife and I made it work. Our two oldest have become productive members of society. However, our youngest has been a nightmare his whole life and still is. Some of this might be our fault. We were too permissive and I was traveling for work. I know my wife saw him as her baby and treated him like a little prince. Now he is almost 40 years old and we are still paying his rent. He wanted to go into the arts, which I didn't have a problem with. I paint as a hobby since retiring. We paid his tuition for private school and then one of the finest design universities in our country. Right out of school, he seemed fine, had a few jobs at design firms. Then he wanted to move across the country and paint. My wife pushed me to subsidize this, and I agreed. However, there is something about his personality that is so immature and fixated on himself that his peers continually reject him. He was pushed out of so many communities and art co working spaces that he eventually moved back near his hometown and us. We helped him get into a gallery space that also provided low cost apartments for artists and hoped this would be a good landing for him. Within a year, during COVID no less, the gallery landlord had eviction proceedings against him, and he was arrested multiple times. He had been accused of sexually harassing one neighbor and terrorizing the rest of the people in the building and at surrounding businesses. He's a drunk and God knows what else. After an expensive court date, we sent him to rehab. Now he's 39 years old and living in a large East Coast city near us, and it's like he learned nothing. He gets into online fights and doxes people, lies about his work and accomplishments, and harasses people in his area. I have had it, and I told my wife I am done bailing him out. He got arrested for vandalism, for spray painting a car, and we would not get him a lawyer. Legal aid got him out, but then he was seen on social media spray painting a poor Uber driver car. My daughter showed me. He's banned from every coffee shop and restaurant in the small town we have retired to. And I honestly hate him because I just want to relax with my wife in our retirement. I want to travel with her, but she's always worried something will happen if we're away, and she's afraid he'll be sent to prison. I'm tired of saving him. He's just garbage. He continues with, I can't reply to everyone, but thank you very much for all your thoughts. I have a lot to mull over. These NEETs, because this is literally what he is, they cannot be saved. I don't think that they can be saved because they are used to having someone to bail them out and they haven't flexed that survival instinct muscle that many of us had to create. A lot of these people have no capacity to care for themselves. And like this dad said, this mom is coddling him, but also dad was away and dad didn't instill any sense of survival or skills or anything. So dad is frustrated, but he's also culpable in how how he was raised as a child to be this useless in adulthood. Akuzan says, he is an adult after all. You don't have to bail him out. And then OP says, I know, but I have a lot of guilt over not being there when he was a child. And my wife is adamant we protect him from himself. I hate to see her cry. Dusty Old Bone says, your son reminds me of my brother. He's also 39 and my mom enables all of his worst habits. He's had a mortgage on a house since 2016, but he's only ever lived in it for a month when he first bought it. My mom has paid the mortgage ever since, and he lives with them. He's too lonely to live at his house by himself, but he refuses to sell it because since he's ruined his credit and is unlikely to get another mortgage, and we can't let him experience his own consequences or rent it out because other people in my house. So it sits empty, and my mom covers the repairs on damages that occur due to negligence, raccoons in the attic, roof leaks, and rotting boards. He's an alcoholic and an overall addict, but his current choice of drugs is food because he's on probation and gets randomly tested. This will end in a few weeks, at which point he'll be back to the bottle and back to being absolutely insufferable to be around. He rarely showers and has stunk up the entire upstairs and basement. There are flat spots on the couches where he parks himself and doesn't move all day. No one wants to be around my parents because my brother is always there, including me. My mother absolutely refuses to allow him to experience any real consequences because he makes vague allusions to taking self deletion if things get too hard for him. If you're thinking, gosh, he sounds mentally ill, you're right, he is, but he refuses to admit it or to be medicated beyond what's been ordered by the court. He refuses further counseling and the fact that he's been fired as a client in the past because he refuses to comply with any treatment plans. I wish to high heaven that my mother would go off the reins and force him to figure out some of this on his own and stop ruining my parents' marriage. My dad has tried to put his foot down, but it's either my mom's way or divorce. Dad's still there, but he's totally checked out. And the way he and my mom talk to each other these days suggests they don't even like each other anymore. It's a dumpster fire all around. Lord. The OP says, thank you. I feel less crazy after reading this. My mom says she's the only mother he has, and I just can't anymore. These needs are going to ruin families, they're going to ruin marriages, and I just struggle to understand, or I just can't fathom what happens to them after the person who is enabling them is no longer able or there to enable them. So this post was out of the NEET subreddit, and this person is trying to provide comfort or validation to other NEETs. Remember, this means not in education, not in employment, education, or training. This person says, it's okay to be a NEET for any reason. I'm kind of sick of people trying to be annoying to NEETs with different beliefs than them. Seriously, people, some people are hedonistic and they're happy being a NEET and just want to do whatever the F they want. You shouldn't tell those people that their life is wrong or something. Not everyone seeks the same on life. Not everyone cares about making their life meaningful and just wants to chill and play games. It's also okay to be a NEET because of autism and you struggle to find a job and you're miserable. But telling those people, wagey slaves, it's super annoying. My point is, any reason to be a NEET is valid. Let's stop telling autistic people who want to find a job, wage slaves, and let's stop telling hedonistic people that they need to seek a reason to live if they just want to chill. So I am understanding that people who have a job are considered wage slaves to these NEETs. I've seen them say that they call them wagey. All right. So this person says gatekeeping happens in every community. It is what it is. This person says, of course it's okay for you to be a NEET. The problem is for your moms who have to financially support you, which might mean they need to work more, as in the moms need to work more so these people can just chill and live whatever this effort lifestyle that they want to live. This person says, thanks for this post. I feel less alone in this mentality after finding this sub. This person says, any reason to be a NEET is valid. And that's the quote that he's talking about right now. He says, I don't know what you're talking about here. No, humans are not meant to live as NEETs. The only thing that makes living as a NEET justifiable is if something is actually getting in the way of you and your ability to work effectively. For me, that's severe bipolar depression. And I'm trying to end NEEThood as soon as I can because it is literally unaliving me, and living as a NEET for a while will take out most people. The fact is, money doesn't grow on trees. It never will, and choosing to live as a NEET means you are not doing anything to earn money. If you are okay with living and not making money, I don't know how anyone could live that way for the long term. I guess go ahead. But playing victim, which people do here far too often, won't do you any good. But that's just me. If you really have effectively talked yourself into living as a NEET, that makes me very sad, but good luck, I guess. And this person says face palm. Another person says face palm. And then the person at the bottom says, get back to work, wagey. So I just wanted to show you what people are saying in the NEAT subreddit. Go ahead and like, comment, and share. This next post from the relationship subreddit is a feeling that many men will have to come to terms with, especially as women's trajectory in the workplace and education continues to go up. He says, how can I, 29-year-old male, deal with my wife who's 28, her growing popularity? He says, hi everyone, I'm a 29-year-old man looking for some advice because I'm really struggling with my wife's growing popularity as a streamer. She's got around 200 daily viewers across Kick and Twitch, and her fans absolutely adore her. She is super engaging, and I love seeing her do something she's passionate about, but it's starting to feel really weird for me. Her fans are always commenting on how amazing she is, sending her gifts, and even trying to get personal with her, which makes me uncomfortable, even though she's never crossed any boundaries. The part that's hitting me hard is the money. She's making way more than I do at my job. And while I'm incredibly proud of her success, it's stirring up a lot of insecurities. I'm feeling less confident and more like I'm not pulling my weight in our relationship. We've been a team, but now it feels like she's the star player and I'm sitting on the bench. We're going to have to come back to that. He says, we've always been a team, but it now feels like she's the star player and I'm sitting on the bench. This is the reason why he's insecure, because now she's getting some shine. She's flexing her muscle a little bit, and he doesn't know how to take it. He can't be on a team if he's not the one that is getting all of the incredible numbers and the accolades. Now that she is, this is not a team sport anymore, and he wants to take his ball and go home. He says, I tried talking to her about how I feel, but it's tough to explain without sounding like I'm jealous or unsupportive. She reassures me all the time, but the feelings don't just go away. It's like there's this constant pressure and comparison. The thing is, he says right here, like I'm jealous. No, you are jealous. You are jealous because, like he says, it's like there's this constant pressure and comparison because men feel like they have to compete with everything. They can't just feel like this is a success and our household is going to thrive more because she's making money. It's, I'm not the one that is pulling these numbers. So I need to figure out, how. I think he wants to dim her shine. Okay, but let's get back to his post. I really don't want to let my insecurities mess things up. Has anyone else dealt with something like this? How do you handle it when your partner's career takes off and yours doesn't? How can I be supportive without letting my own issues get in the way? Any tips or advice on managing these feelings and maintaining a healthy relationship will be greatly appreciated. I will say that I do believe that, in the social media discourse, men are always talking about how their job is protection and provision. And this is pre programmed because society and patriarchy has made that their jobs. And men are these one dimensional, they keep saying these one dimensional things, and they painted themselves into this box that is the only thing that they're good for. And so women were supposed to literally be the opposite of that or be less than in those categories. But now women can provide for ourselves. And that makes that takes a hit to their masculinity, their perceived masculinity, because they are always using us as the standard or the guidepost that they are the opposite of what women are. And so now this man is going to have to figure out what to make meaningful in his life so that he doesn't drag her down. But it sounds like, if this festers, he's going to end up losing this woman. So Chauncey Pie is responding to a now deleted comment. She says, this is exactly it. You're supposed to be partners. Her success may or may not survive. You could retire at your job or get laid off or fired. Take advantage of this and plan for the future. Set up goals. You may reach, some you may reach, some you may not. Do you have a plan to have kids? If so, they're half of both of you. Give them the best start you can by saving for their future. Do not take her fame for granted or the money or even your own career. Life will always have its ups and downs. Stop trying to outdo one another. Instead, support each other. You'll both be happier for it. Now, this last part is basically like same sizing or both and. The woman doesn't sound like she is competing with him. He's competing with her. So saying stop trying to outdo one another, that's not the woman that is trying to outdo him. He just sees her success as one upping him. Add Euphoric says, hopefully the OP reads this comment. I think it's important to consider the sort of fame and money that comes from online streaming, etc., is not guaranteed to last a long time. People are fickle, and in a blink of an eye, they can turn on the online personalities, often for good reason. Your partner may also get sick of it despite the good income. Look at PewDiePie. I believe he's focusing on his family now and quit YouTube. You never know what may happen in the future. Perhaps you need to talk to a professional about how to manage your feelings around this. Maybe he should talk to a professional. June is Men's Mental Health Month. But instead, they really push back against getting mental help, against getting a therapist, and they really need to so that they can become more emotionally intelligent and balanced. Okay, so this person at the top says, right, relationships are about being a team, not rivals. And then Nikolai says, yes, be happy for her. Laugh at those guys while you spend their money on fun dates. And this person says, this kind of attitude and confidence is very attractive to women, but he can't just change how he feels. He feels insecure and needs to get into therapy to sort it out. Telling someone to just be happy for her is a sentiment to telling someone don't be sad or calm down. It doesn't help the situation because you can't force yourself to feel something if you don't feel it. And this person at the bottom says, because he sees her as his opponent rather than team player. It's simple, really. It really is very simple. He's not going to be able to fix this. And all he's going to do is push her away. That's it. That's all. I would like to know, what do you think about this? Can you see this being an issue going forward, especially with the way women are growing as far as home ownership, the way women are outpacing men in education, the way women are finally starting to break through the glass ceiling, and the way child free women don't face that motherhood penalty as far as wages go, that mothers face. So that means that their income is usually not impeded by having to pay for childcare, having to take part time jobs, having to take sucky shifts, having to drop out of the workforce altogether. The child free movement and women being just one and done is really going to change the gender roles and dynamics. And that's another thing that we need to talk about, and maybe in a different post, where women are simply outdoing men because they are abstaining from having kids or not having kids during their prime career time. So jump in the comments. Let me know what you think about this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. So this next Am I the A-hole post, this is what I envision when those men who supposedly have traditional values smack up right against reality of what it really means to be a traditional provider. He says, am I the a-hole for forcing my wife to get a job? Probably, but let's read the post. He says, my wife gave birth 8 months ago to our beautiful baby girl. The original plan was for her to stay home with our daughter until she was school aged. I will repeat that again. The original plan, because they planned for this, the original plan was for her to stay home with our daughter until she was school aged. We could financially do this. Our bills are roughly $22K a year. I bring home $49K annually. So it was a bit of a financial plummet because she was also making roughly the same as me a year. But we aren't hurting by any means, even without her income. But when our daughter was around 6 months old, I really started to resent my wife. I found myself insanely irritable all the time because I felt I had no time with my daughter, whereas she got to soak it all in. I felt like I was missing everything. I work from 8 to 4:30 every day except the weekends. He does not mention what he is doing on the weekends. He says, I worked 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. every day except the weekends. I got home around 5 p.m. Baby was in bed by 9 usually. So I only have a 4 hour window every day, except the weekends where he does not mention what he's doing on the weekends. um, every day seeing my child. And even then, you have to weigh in distractions. Like I needed to shower after work or when we were eating dinner. And sometimes the baby would go to bed early. So I truly wasn't getting much time with her, even on the weekends, because he's not telling us what he does on the weekends. So I started dropping hints about my wife going back to work to supplement our income so I could be home more. She argued that I needed to stay on full time, so even if she was to get a job, I wouldn't be getting any more time with our daughter. But I still argued that I felt it was time she went back to work. After I told her that, she didn't speak to me for 2 weeks straight. She stopped making dinner for us, she stopped cleaning the house, etc. And then she did end up going to work and had her mother watch the baby during the day. She started pumping constantly. Baby is breastfed, but eventually the baby only wanted the bottle and no longer wanted to nurse. And it got to the point where my wife started sleeping in another room. I finally broke down and really begged her to talk to me, and she lashed out, said she had zero desire to talk to me, and said that she hated me. That as soon as she saved up enough money, she was leaving. I asked her why, and she exploded. She said that I made her feel bad repeatedly for being a stay at home mom, despite the fact that she washed all my clothes, cooked all my food, and picked up after me while I watched our baby. She says it was my fault our daughter stopped nursing, and now she is mentally crashing due to that. She says she has never been more disgusted by someone in her life, and that going back to work made no sense because I'm still spending just as much time with the baby, but now she gets nothing. I don't see it that way, but I'm sure she won't actually leave when the time comes. But it's been eating at me. So, Reddit, am I the a hole? You absolutely are the a hole. You reneged on the game plan. You guys came up with this plan. You could handle things. And it's not like you can't spend time with your child. Yes, she is a baby who has daytime. I mean, she has times where she goes to sleep. But you didn't say what you were doing on the weekends, why you can't have the weekends exclusively to hang out with this baby. So here's his edit. I wanted her to work the opposite shift as me, so we both got time with our daughter equally. Before I could fully discuss it with her, she shut down completely and ended up getting a job on the same shift as me. This could have been avoided had she been receptive to me trying to communicate. Instead, she shut down. The thing about that is, if he's working until 4:30 and thinks that she's going to tag in to go to work and work from 5 p.m. until late at night, that really would suck. That would be a terrible shift, especially for a mother, because still the mother would still be typically doing the caretaking, the administrative things. So she would come home, she would be responsible still for the doctor's appointments, the dentist appointments, the all of the things. Mom is still responsible for that. And so dad is thinking that that was going to be my master plan, and that plan would have still sucked too, especially when they came up with this game plan that they were going to stay, that she was going to stay home until this child went to school. So now he's going to have to figure out how he's going to manage 50-50 and do it in separate homes. He has lost his wife, she has checked out, and he thinks that she's not going to leave. This woman has mentally checked out. This person at the bottom says a 4 hour window, 5 days a week. What is stopping you from giving her the weekends off and spending all day with the kid? This makes no sense. This person says, yep, I noticed OP conveniently omitted what he did on the weekends. Fat, sad, happy says he did nothing. He claims time with the kid was taken by having dinner, and it's a long stretch of 4 hours. If he wanted time with the kid, he can grab a sandwich and take the kid for a stroll, giving mom a chance for a shower. Fanish Nan says, also feel like it's a safe bet that he considers his time with the baby to be babysitting. He's a screaming man child. And Bearsland said, I guess golf or another recreational sport on the weekend. I wanted to get to this part though. You're the a hole. People don't explode like that for no reason. The fact that she said that you've made her feel bad repeatedly about being a stay at home mom, even though this is something you've agreed to, says enough. And then the OP says, she said I made her feel bad repeatedly because I would make comments to our daughter who is 8 months old, saying, I wish I could hang out with you all day. Nothing was directed at her. And then Avocado Smush says, your daughter doesn't understand you, but your wife does. If you're saying it to the baby in front of her, you're actually saying it to her. And so, what I've circled here, you're a passive aggressive, soon to be divorced B word. And with that, I will close. I will end it there because that is what he is. He is a passive aggressive, soon to be divorced B word. He is that because he really thought that this is what he wanted. And I really think that reality is going to smack these traditional values dude in the face when they see what kind of work it really means to support these types of families. Jump in the comments and let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.